The 3-year-old competition is intended to combat ageism. That's according to NYC Department of Aging Commissioner Lorraine Cortez Vasquez.
It is our way of saying ability is ageless. They can dance, they can sing, they can still work, they're still contributing.
But above all else, the point is to have a good time.
And they have more fun than anything. That's all that matters.
And have a good time they did.
It's exciting. It was fun.
Barbara and the other qualifying Bronx winners will square off against the other borough finalists at the United Palace Theater in Washington Heights on October 16th. You can learn more about how to get tickets at our news site, gothamist.com. Hannah Frischberg, WNYC News.
Support for WNYC comes from Anne Frank the Exhibition in New York City, allowing visitors to enter Anne's world through original artifacts, diary entries, and displays, helping to illuminate her lessons of courage and hope. More at annefrankexhibit.org.
Every day, WNYC is working to get closer to New York and to New Yorkers. The underwriting we get from businesses helps power our independence. Learn how your organization can join in at sponsorship.wnyc.org.
I'm going to go back to Hannah's stories. The other boroughs are going to have to bring it to top that version of Patsy Cline's Crazy. Wow, that was great. Marketplace Morning Report is next, and later on Morning Edition, today marks 2 years since Hamas's attack against Israel and the beginning of Israel's war in Gaza. Coming up, an Israeli father who survived 491 days in captivity shares his message to the leaders in his country and to Hamas. That story and more next hour on Morning Edition. Mid-60s and partly cloudy right now. Mostly sunny and 82 for a high, so it's going to be a warm one again. Winds gusting to 21 miles an hour. Shower and thunderstorm chances tonight. Low of 63 with strong winds. Showers and maybe a thunderstorm by noon tomorrow. 66 for a high. Winds at 21 miles an hour. Cold Wednesday night.
Coal is no longer king for the first time in more than a century.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Odoo, offering software that provides building blocks for creating a custom software suite. Odoo, what businesses need.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. First, the Trump administration has created a new job at the IRS. CEO Frank Bisignano will be taking on that position, in addition to his current job as head of the Social Security Administration. Marketplace's Henry Epp reports.
The job of IRS CEO did not exist before yesterday's announcement. For Frank Bisignano, the title will apparently mean overseeing, quote, all day-to-day IRS operations, according to a press release from the Treasury Department. And yet he technically won't be the IRS's leader. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will remain the IRS's acting commissioner, a role that's been held by 7 different people this year. The last commissioner clashed with Bessent and was pushed out earlier this summer and has now been nominated to be the ambassador to Iceland. By making Bisignano the IRS's so-called CEO, the Trump administration might sidestep the Senate confirmation process required for the IRS commissioner. Bisignano has already received Senate confirmation for his other job, head of the Social Security Administration. In both positions, he'll be overseeing agencies that handle millions of Americans' personal data. I'm Henry Epp for Marketplace.
It was the largest U.S. coal sale in more than 10 years. Yesterday, the government offered up the rights to lease federal land in southeastern Montana, and the highest bidder would get to mine 167 million tons of coal there. But the highest bidder was the only bidder, and they did not bid much. The Navajo Transitional Energy Co. offered just $186,000. That is about a tenth of a penny per ton of available coal. Back in 2012, a coal lease went for 1,000 times more. It is a sign of how far coal has fallen. For the first time, renewable energy is now the world's biggest source of electricity. It's a title coal held for more than 100 years. This is according to energy think tank Ember. Justin Rowlett is the BBC's climate editor.
Coal has been the main source for electricity generation literally since the dawn of the electric era. And so the fact that it's now been displaced by renewables really is significant. And that's why Ember, the think tank that published today's report, describes it as a turning point for the global energy system. What's really interesting is we've got the world moving at two different speeds. Lower income countries, led by China, becoming deeper and deeper into what should be described as a solar revolution, and then developed countries moving much more slowly.
Justin Rowlett at the BBC. Meanwhile, the world's crude oil market is getting more gluttish. OPEC Plus producers decided once again to expand output and drive down prices. That'll be tough for U.S. oil producers. Not so for oil consumers, though. Marketplace's Elizabeth Trovall has that.
Even though a barrel of oil today is about $10 less than it was a year ago, Mark Finley with Rice University says
consumers don't consume crude oil, they consume gasoline.
And typically, lower crude prices do bring down gas prices, but
the national average for retail regular gasoline is $3.13 a gallon.
More or less the same as a year ago, Finley says, because of pressures on refiners. And analyst Tom Klozet with Turner Mason and Company says, looking ahead,
gasoline prices will come off, but I don't think they're going to come off quite as aggressively. And that's because of all of these drone impacts on Russian refiners. That's knocking out Russian refining.
He says even if lower crude prices continue,
I don't think it's necessarily going to be this wonderful dividend of deflation or disinflation for the public.
Especially, he says, because diesel and jet fuel prices are still pretty pricey. I'm Elizabeth Trovall for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow futures down 0.2%. S&P futures down 0.1%. NASDAQ futures pretty much flat.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business, committed to business buying solutions to empower leaders to streamline and focus on growth. Learn more about smart business buying at amazonbusiness.com.
Last month, the Fed decided to cut interest rates by 0.25 percentage point. Tomorrow, we'll get a little bit of the inside scoop on how they decided to do that. We'll get the minutes of that meeting. Marketplace's Carla Javier looked into what they could tell us about what's ahead.
Former Fed economist Ann Owen was on her way to a class she teaches at Hamilton College about monetary policy.
I have a group of students doing a presentation about what the Fed should do at the next meeting.
And after that, they have some homework. Read and prepare to discuss the Fed minutes that come out tomorrow.
What are the issues that people who thought we need to lower rates more, what are they looking at? How are the people who think, well, one rate cut is going to be enough this year? What are the indicators that they're looking at?
One thing she's asked her students to look closely for, signs of disagreement. Owen says the minutes are usually pretty neutral.
But what you'll see is a discussion that might say some participants thought this was important, while other participants noted that.
Debate is healthy, says former Fed economist Claudia Sahm. She's now at New Century Advisors.
At a moment like this, as complicated as monetary policy is, if everybody were in agreement, I would actually be worried that they're missing something. We should feel good about the fact that we have Fed officials really engaging with the data, really engaging with the tension that's in the economy, because that should lead to better monetary policy decisions in the end.
Sahm says she'd be shocked if any discussion of the political debate about Fed independence makes it into the minutes.
By focusing on the data, focusing on the theory, focusing on how the Fed always does its work, that is their way of saying, hey, we're independent. We're still doing our work the way we would always do our work.
The minutes are also likely to contain clues about what could come next, says David Beckworth, a senior fellow at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University.
If you get a sense that the Fed's really concerned about inflation and some of them aren't as concerned about employment, that would tell you don't expect as many rate cuts going forward.
On the other hand, if more members are focused on unemployment, then more cuts could be in the cards. The minutes are not a full transcript of what transpired, though. That won't come out until 5 years from now. I'm Carla Javier for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm Sabri Benishore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.